Okay, welcome back. We're going to get a little more practice with classes right now because we're going to discuss inheritance. It's a very important topic and you're going to use it quite often. So let's go ahead and start a new playground. I've named mine inheritance. Let's go ahead and do that. Pause the video if you need to. Once you're done, I will paste in the definitions that we need to discuss. So, a class, it can inherit methods, properties, and other characteristics from another class. Just like genes from a parent, right? You have inherited genes from both your mother and father. Well, just in that same exact sense, one class can inherit from another class. And just to keep this in mind, because you may see this in the future when you're getting certain errors, the class that is inheriting, the inheriting class, is known as a subclass, and the class that it inherits from is known as the superclass. Right? So it's a hierarchy: superclass, then subclass. And just as a quick note, if you have another class that neither inherits nor gives inheritance, if it's all alone, it's called a base class. So let's give you some more practice with classes now and show you the concept of inheritance. Super duper important in iOS development. So let's make a class called vehicle. And in it, we're going to create some variables here. We'll say var number of wheels. We'll say that's an integer. We'll say var number of seats. That can be an integer as well. And how about var top speed? We'll make that a float. We'll also give you some more practice with initialization right now. So we're going to use the init keyword, and we need to initialize each of those three variables right now. Init number of wheels is an int. Number of seats is an int. Top speed is a float. Then curly brackets, and within that we need to do self.number of wheels equals number of wheels, self.number of seats equal number of seats, and of course self.topSpeed equals top speed. And remember, these are different, right? Some of those are the parameters taken in, some of them are the variables mentioned right up here. We're going to talk about initialization more in the next lecture, so just keep going with it. At least it's a little more practice for you. Next, we're going to do a function. We're going to call it display vehicle details. No parameters, so open and close parenthesis. Then we're going to do some brackets, and we're going to do three print statements here. The number of wheels is / parenthesis number of wheels, end the parenthesis, end the quotation, end the parenthesis. And do the same thing for the other variables. So the number of seats is / parenthesis number of seats, end the parenthesis, end the quotation, end the parenthesis. And then the top speed is / parenthesis top speed, end the parenthesis, end the quotation, end the parenthesis. So that is our function to display the vehicle details. So now we have a class of vehicle with three variables: number of wheels, number of seats, and top speed, and a function that displays those values. So now here's where the inheritance part comes in. We can create a new class. Let's call it car, and you can make it conform to the class vehicle. Okay, so let's, right now, automatically, since we defined car as a vehicle, this car will have these three variables, which are actually parameters, and it's going to have this display function detail available to it, right? See, there's a hierarchy here. Okay, so even though the car is inheriting everything from within the vehicle class, we can also add some other things to the car. So let's just say let manufacturer equal, and I'm going to say Lamborghini. That happens to be my favorite car, even though I don't drive and don't want to drive. But I like it. I like the look of it. So we're also going to add a function to this car class called showManufacturer. No parameters necessary, and it will simply just be print manufacturer. Oh, well, first of all, I spelled manufacturer incorrectly, so let's fix that. Okay. So now, let's say that we want to create a new object, and we'll call it let's just call it red car, and we can have it be equal to a car object. And because it's a car object, which inherits from the vehicle object, we will have to enter the parameters here. So let's say number of wheels for a car is 4, number of seats for the red car, let's say 2, and top speed of, let's just say 240. Okay, now we have our red car, which is made, and now that means we can do red car dot show manufacturer, because it is part of the car class, and it prints Lamborghini to the console as we would expect. But since red car is also inheriting from the vehicle class, we can use the red car dot display vehicle details, and in the console it prints exactly what we expected. So this is a great and simple example of inheritance in Swift, and you are definitely going to use this concept in the future when you're developing apps and or games. So there's one more lecture to this section, which is focusing on initialization, which is a sometimes strange and weird topic for people. So I'm going to spend a few minutes discussing precisely just initialization. See you then.